another lesson in science. For science, this is the 4th lesson, and we are still on diversity of matter. Diversity of matter. But today we are going to talk about materials. Materials. Okay, what is going to be our objective for today? For our objectives, would define the term materials. You should know what material is, what it means, or the definition. Okay, then our second objective is that after knowing the definition, you should be able to give at least 10 examples of materials that you have in your locality. Good. Then the last one is that you describe these materials you've mentioned in your locality by their property. So we talk about the properties of these materials that we have in our environment or in our locality. That is what we are going to do today. To begin our lesson, we always look at our keywords. So what are our keywords for today? Let's look at our keywords. First keyword is property. Property, what does it mean? The quality of something. So I said we are going to look at the properties of materials in our locality. So we'll look at the quality of each of these materials that we are going to talk about. Okay, our second keyword is opaque. Opaque. Look at the spelling very carefully and the pronunciation. Opaque. O-P-A-Q-U-E. Opaque. What does this word mean? It means a substance that do not allow the passage of light or something you can see through it. Okay, so it is something that do not allow the passage of light or something you cannot see through. So the moment you cannot see through something, that thing is opaque. Very good. Our next keyword, transparent. Transparent is the right opposite of opaque. Transparent, what does it mean? A substance that allows the passage of light or something you can see through clearly. I'm sure you are imagining things that you can see through them clearly. Very good. There's an example on the screen for you. What is that? It is a what? A glass. Most of you can see through glasses when you wear them. Not the dark ones, the plain ones. That is the transparent I'm talking about. Okay. So, what are we going to talk about? We are talking about materials. The next keyword is bendable. Bendable. A substance that can be curved or turned towards any direction. So the moment you can turn any substance to any direction, we said that substance is bendable. It is bendable. Okay. Now, from our previous lesson, we talked about living and non-living things. Does it have any link to what we are going to talk about? Yes. So that means the things we have around that are living and non-living things are also what? Materials. They are materials. So all the things that we have around that are materials, that means they can be used for something. Give me examples of these things or the living things we have. Mention them. Plant is a living thing. It's a material. Okay. Yes, what again? You see animals. Animal is also a material. Stone is a material. What again? Rocks, paper, metals. Both the living and the non-living things are all materials. Why are we saying they are materials? Look on your screen. I have examples of pictures of materials you can find around. Ice cubes, wood, a saw, tomato, which is a food or a fruit, hammer, we have bricks, we have logs. Okay, they are materials. So what is a material? Let's look at the definition of materials. Materials are the things used for making useful products. So anything that you pick around in your locality that you use it for something useful is known as a material, or it is a material. We have them in so many groups. We can group them in papers, in metals, in wood, in glasses, in what? Cotton. Okay, so some of them are also in what? Plastics. So materials can come in those forms. I said they can come in what? In papers. They can also come in what? They can come in plastics. They can also come in metals. What again? In cotton. All these are materials. Why? Because we can use them for other products. So they are useful things that can be used for other products. Okay, now let's continue. What are some of the materials that we can have? Stone is a material. Why? Because we can use it for what? Something useful. Or we can use it to make a product. Wood or a log. Rubber band, you see the rubber bands you've been playing with. They are also useful items, so they are what? Materials. You see the nails, which people use the nails very often, or most often, the carpenters. So is it not a material? It is useful to them. Okay, let's move on. Cotton. Cotton is also a what? It's a material. We use cotton for so many things. We'll have a lesson on that too, the usefulness of materials. So don't worry, we are looking at just the examples. So we have cotton yarns. Cotton yarns are also useful items. Erasers, sand. You see the heap of sand on your screen? They are materials. Fabrics, they are all materials. Foam, the ones we sleep on or the ones we even use for other things. Bricks, glass cups, they are all materials. I told you they are formed from certain objects. Glass, metals, wood, plastics. Those are their bases. Those are the items that they use to what? Make these items. So they are all materials. Let's move on to the properties of these materials. I told you the properties means that the quality of the thing. How do they look? These materials, how did they come? How do you see them? Good. Some of them are soft. They are soft materials, so their property is what? Soft. You touch them and they are soft. They are easy for you to touch. You can hold them. So they are materials that can be easily destroyed by heat. So those soft materials, you don't allow heat to get closer to them. For example, the cloth, the cotton, they are soft material. The foam, they are the soft ones, the fabrics. So those ones should not be what? Allowed to get closer to heat, or else they would burn. We have some of them to also to be what? Hard. Their property is being what? Hard. They are very hard. What are these hard ones? We have the diamonds and then the logs. They are materials that are not easy to bend or break. So you take a very hard thing to hit it before it breaks, or force before it breaks. This is another property of material. Some of them are also transparent. Remember our keywords? We said transparent means what? Substances that allow light to pass through, or things that you can see through clearly. So we have some of the materials that you can see through clearly. Example is the glass or the plastics. So you can see example of a what? A plastic cup and then a sliding door. They are transparent. Why? Because they are made from transparent material. Okay, let's move to another property known as opaque. Remember that word too? Opaque means what? Things you cannot see through. So the moment you can't see through a polythene bag, the black one, then that means that material is opaque. So a coin. When you pick a coin and you want to see through the coin, you can't see anything. It is an opaque property or material. The lorry tire. Okay, we have more. Let's look at another one, which is bendable. Anything that you can what? Turn to any position. We said they are what? Bendable. So we have materials too that are easy for you to bend. You bend them on your own. You don't need anything to what? To force them to bend. You can use your free hand to bend them. That is it. The what? The hose, the water hose. It can even bend on its own. The straws you play with, they are easy to bend. We have some of the what? The woods that are easy to bend. They are in a cane form. You remember cane? The naughty ones. When you hear cane, you're afraid. Don't worry. I know you are good children, so you don't need cane to discipline you. Good. Cane is also an example of a bendable material. Then we have some to be smooth. They are so smooth. You touch them and they are smooth. Example is the what? The ceramic mug. Can you see it? Yes. I know you have some at home. Go and take a close look at it. You can rub your hands around it. You see that they are smooth. And then the ball. Good. They are materials that are what? They are smooth. They have smooth surface by feeling or looking at them. Let's look at another property, which is rough. Rough. So the direct opposite of smooth is what? Rough. Something that what? Looks rough on its surface when you are feeling it or you are looking at them. Example is the charcoal. Charcoal is very rough. Some rocks are also rough. Others are smooth. I'm talking about the rough ones. Then the pineapple, the surface of it is very rough. So those are the what? The common properties of materials that we have around. The materials are many. I told you they are made up of living and non-living things. So it has a connection with what we've learned the previous time. So whatever you learned, don't forget. You use it to what? To learn another thing. Okay, so let's do a quick summary of what we've talked about today. We've talked about materials. And what do we say they are? We said materials are things that are used for useful products. So anything that you pick to create something from it is known as a material. We said they can come in different forms. Some of them are in plastics, others in glass, others papers, cotton, and so many. So we looked at some of the examples of these materials. Good. We also looked at the properties of these materials. What are the properties? We said some materials are soft. We said some are also what? Hard. Others are transparent. That means you can see through them clearly. But some of them are not transparent, so they are opaque. Good. Try and then observe things that you have in your locality or at your homes. Okay? Try and identify them and see if you can make something out of it. The moment that thing becomes useful to you, it is known as materials. Try and identify the properties of the materials that you come across. Some of them are soft, rough, smooth, opaque, transparent, and others. I'll meet you on our Zoom meeting for us to have another interesting discussion on this lesson. Till I come your way another time. Be good children. Bye-bye.